Welcome to the bold analysis. I want to share with you some two instances that shows me that unless Koome tightens the knot at the judiciary, then Kenya is doomed. As we speak, there is a story about government planning to free 5,000 prisoners who are actually serving longer sentences so that they can get more space to prison others, especially in the wake of the protests that is going on. And number two, let me explain something about Babu Owino's bail drama. What does the law say about bail terms? So Babu was presented in court very late in the evening by the police, and the plan was that because the police knew very well that the courts were going to free him. Of course, it's normally the usual charges. So he was presented to court very late, past 5. And remember, no court is even supposed to operate beyond 5. There is no judgment that should be given beyond 5. But he was presented late, and the case was fastened. Then the bail terms was processed. It was actually given bail. So what was being planned was that within that time, they were not going to be able to process bail so that Babu will be released. And that is why immediately after the judgment was given on the bail, he was actually rearrested. Now, the point is not on that rearresting. Later in the night, Ogenda and another senior counsel and the senior counsel club argued and even wrote a letter arguing the legality of someone being arrested, rearrested when a bail is being processed, especially on the same offense. Now, my little knowledge about what happens in the corridors of law is that you can face one charge or two charges and appear before a judge and get bail terms. You're being bailed out, but immediately you walk out, people get fresh evidence and you're charged afresh and you can be rearrested, probably for another reason. But on the issue of bail terms, there is a discussion that has been going on. Now, all those who were arrested in the protests are one way or the other getting bail. But there's been a question on the amount of bail, the amount of money being asked, in the tune of 100,000 to go. And today, I was in Kibera early in the morning. I got shocked, and I really hope that some very key stakeholders should get this information. Now, if you go to Kamkunji, by the way, Kamkunji is where those political meetings are normally held. Those young men who sit there are actually complaining that they have quite a number of youths that were arrested and they're yet to be presented in court. And the ones that have also been presented, the bail terms are very expensive. And some of those young men are still there. I wish that their plight can be documented and really they get a fair hearing. So the second phase of whatever is happening in this country, the arrests and disappearances, the arrests are just to, apart from emotional torture on the convicts, it's also a tool used to drain you financially. You know, when you're dragged in court, you have to part with some money to pay you a lawyer, you have to part with some money to pay you a bail. You know, if you want to make a way to the hospital, you know, you're just going to use a lot of resources. And for some who are not well connected to the political power, it might not be very easy to handle it. That is why my concept in this podcast is Martha Koome must take a very firm position to defend the supreme law, which is our constitution. Our governance structure has three arms of government. We have the executive, the parliament, and the judiciary. Executive and the legislature are actually working in a cocoon, and they're inseparable. But in the middle of this, there are other visibly seen breach of the law. And that is why I'm saying my three grounds why Martha Koome must come in to fix this country. The only person that can fix this country is Martha Koome. Why? The courts should not sanitize illegality. You know, I have listened to a 29-minute interview of Ogeta, Raila's bodyguard. He was being interviewed in a vernacular station, through a vernacular station, explaining his 3 days in hell and how he was just dumped somewhere in Ruai. Of course, nothing done to him, and he has explained the way he was asked a couple of questions. He was asked, where is Raila? 20 times. He's saying, where is Raila? 20 times. But he went through, and you know, that is Raila's bodyguard. How about any other Kenyan? How about that protester? Someone that was just arrested in the street, and who is not known or is not a person of interest. What exactly would happen? Another instant, when Gaucho was leaving court, he pointed out one security officer who allegedly, he says, got into the cell and beat him up by others. So, you know, when the country is talking about the ills and things that are not going on, there's some illegalities that should not be entertained. What does the law say about someone who is arrested? How many days or how long should that person be presented in court? 24 hours. As we speak, it is more than 24 hours until we got into this weekend since Maina Njenga was arrested. He's not been presented to court. Same to other protesters. So it is very key for the courts to help differentiate what is legal and what is illegal. Because we can lose everything. Otherwise, political emotions are going to rain terror on innocent Kenyans. Second reason. The courts and Martha Koome must also make a very conscious decision and see very clear that there could be some revenge mission. And they should not be part of a revenge mission against anyone or any institution. Look at the raid on Uhuru Kenyatta's home in Karen. A licensed gun holder is supposed to be summoned. You know, that's the point. It's supposed to be summoned. And even if there is a search, it should be on some grounds that you're having illegal. After a contingent of police officers went to the home, we saw something different. And so it's also something that should be seen. That if whatever is happening in the country borders some revenge, then that should not be seen. I know very well that Martha Koome was not in good terms with Uhuru Kenyatta. The BBI, collapse of BBI, partly because of the bad blood between the two. Until the time Uhuru Kenyatta was leaving office, he had not appointed judges despite of the names being forwarded to the office of the president. So she was not in good terms with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But I do honestly believe that that should not be a matter on table. It is upon the judiciary to oversight the two arms of government. That oversight role is supposed to be a responsibility of the legislature to oversight the executive. But we're supposed to oversight the two. Why am I using the word oversight? I've been seeing legislation, discussions about amendments of even banning protest, making protests illegal and picketing illegal. Is it anchored in the Supreme Law? There have also been other amendments being hatched within the corridors of Parliament of extending jail terms for those who are caught up in protests. So we cannot recoil what so far the country has achieved. And that is why I honestly call upon and believe that Martha Koome is the only hope that Kenyans could be having. Thank you.